I am Rick with Left Coast Overland, and right now I'm about to get started on making some dinner. So I want you to join me, see how it goes. Top Jeep driving and it's cold. It's only the end of August and it feels like winter time. So this here has been home base for the last 4 months, since May, early May. Working fire seasons up in central Idaho. Living out of a company-owned fifth wheel. This has been my shack. Come on, I'll show you the inside. It's been really, really comfortable. Too much space even. It's kind of become a storage catch-all for everybody's stuff on the crew. But that's okay. We'll make it work. But how can you argue with that view? Really do basic cooking around here. I'm gonna throw a little piece of meat and some vegetables onto a charcoal grill. Be a nice time, sip a beer. I'll show you guys how I do it. At this location, I am completely off-grid. I have no water, fresh water, black water, gray water hookups. Also, don't run the generator. I've been using solar power to recharge my batteries. The batteries were draining my propane powered fridge too quickly, so I've been relying on my handy dandy trusty Cabela's brand deep cooler, and it's been sufficient. So that's the way I operate out here in this fine pasture, and it works just fine. I do, however, like to turn the master 12-volt shutoff to the off position when I leave every morning and turn it back on in the evenings when I return. I found that the batteries top off better when I do that. So that's just in here somewhere. I just kind of fish around for it. There it is. And that's on. I found this battery tender 10-watt automatic solar charger system to be sufficient to keep up with my batteries. I'm running 2 deep cycle bats, and that's plenty good for the amount of power I use on a daily basis. There are cows in this pasture, hence the barbed wire that was put up by the property owner. Keep these little buggers from scratching up against my RV. It works. It's another little hassle to kind of work around, but I make it happen. So let's get a beer and prep this steak. So, easy dinner. Do a New York strip steak and some mixed veggies. Throw a little bit of Memphis style barbecue rub on there that I just picked up at the local grocery, and it comes out pretty good. I prefer dry rubs over barbecue sauce, especially when it's going on the grill. And then once it comes off, barbecue sauce is pretty good, steak sauce, whatever you prefer. I like to get a pretty good coating of this type of like brown sugar and spice mix on almost all the surfaces possible, and then let it kind of soak in for about 30 minutes while we get the coals nice and hot. I prefer to use mesquite coal, which I'll show you here shortly. So I feel that it provides the most superior flavor and even heat. I prefer to use just a small Weber grill with a chimney to start the coals rather than using any sort of lighter fluid or anything like that to get the most true flavor out of it. And the veggies are incredibly easy. Put in some olive oil, maybe some lemon pepper and some salt. You can even use your spice rub that you use on the steak. Nothing to it. It's really easy. Okay, so I grabbed some garlic powder, some lemon pepper, black pepper grinder mix, and then some pink Himalayan salt. Again, in a grinder. Okay, so now that the steak is properly seasoned, as are the vegetables, wrap the veggies up in a little tinfoil bundle. We set both of those aside for a little bit. We'll start the coals. Before we start the coals, let's set up a table and chairs. Make our lives a little bit easier. Instant table. Instant chair. So, mesquite, 100% lump charcoal, in my opinion, provides for the best flavor when it comes to barbecuing. Really, really good smokiness to it, and a nice, even, long-lasting heat. Charcoal from whenever I barbecued last. I like to throw those in. I like to use just a typical brown paper bag. A starter substance. This should take about 30 minutes or so for the coals to get nice and hot. That way they're ready to use, which also gives that steak ample time to kind of soak up that dry rub that we put on it and give it that perfect flavor. You can tell though, it's definitely really hard just to light the bag, and the bag's been dry inside of the camper there. But the added humidity and the coolness of the air, it really doesn't even want to stay lit. So this may be a challenge. We'll try it out, see how far we get. Sip right now. So I'm going to move everything under the full cover of the awning. Also going to move the camera under the awning. Try and protect it a little bit more too. Seems to be going pretty well now. If you look in there, you can see that there's some heat that's built up within those individual bits of charcoal, and that should be sufficient enough to get it started. It's smoking a little bit from the top, which is what you're looking for, and if you can feel a little bit of heat coming up over the top of the chimney, should be enough to keep it going and perpetuate it. So we'll come back and check it in a little bit. For sake of time, I did add a little bit more paper underneath. I don't want to be here all night waiting for these coals to start, so speed it up a little bit and we'll get to cooking. I guess now is a good idea or a good time to explain what it is that I'm doing here. So obviously I'm living out of a fifth wheel trailer in the middle of a pasture in central Idaho. If you can look back on some of my other pics and vids on Instagram and YouTube, I am a helicopter pilot. I work for a company that contracts for the U.S. Forest Service, and that takes me to locations such as this. We are currently based out of central Idaho, supporting a rappel platform helicopter for the Forest Service. Been here since May, and we'll continue to be here, and it's a really beautiful spot. I'm happy to be living in a trailer in a pasture. So I no longer have an apartment to return to, and the idea is to work and live out of the truck camper in the city, and then use it to commute during the weekends to visit and spend time with her. And I look forward to that lifestyle. It's going to be great. I've learned a lot living in this fifth wheel. I'm glad that it doesn't belong to me because it was a good trial run. This will be the second time that I've spent any sort of duration living out of something like this, off the grid, in a remote area, and each time I do it, I learn more, and I can appreciate it more, and I'm happy that I'm a part of this cycle. So the first time I did it, I lived in Southwest Texas. I was working for Big Bend National Park. Lived and worked in Big Bend National Park as a firefighter at the time before I actually became a pilot. This was many years ago, but lived in a 24-foot pull-behind travel trailer with one other person, off the grid, in the middle of the essentially Chihuahuan Desert, just north of the Rio Grande, north of the border there. And it was awesome. Really loved it. And now I live here by myself. I sometimes share the trailer with other crew members. It's definitely got plenty of room for that, which I will delve into later, but it's too much room. I never use 90% of the amenities. I've cut out the use of the refrigerator because it drains too much power. I don't use the shower. I don't use the toilet, so no black water, very little gray water. In 4 months, I haven't had to dump the gray water yet. I put in a treatment tab so that it doesn't get smelly, but when I take it off-site and return it back to base, then I'll just take it through a dump station and dump the rest of the gray water. But I chose not to do black water because I didn't want to have to deal with that. It's pretty gross. So I live about a mile from a long drop or a pit vault type toilet. Idaho has a great public land use system, so they're scattered all over the place. If I need to use it, I just hop in the Jeep and drive over there, use it, come back, or I just hit it on my way to the base in the morning. No big deal. What else? So there's no AC, no telephone service, no 110 volt power. Everything is hooked up to the batteries, which is 12 volt, and then I have a 10 amp solar powered solar panel charging up those batteries during the day. but I use very little power. It's mostly just to run the stereo so I can listen to music. I get one channel out here which plays a mix of country and kind of like modern pop. Keeps me entertained. Otherwise, I'm taking a swing at vlogging and making these videos and seem to be having a pretty good time at it. So that's what brought me here, and I look forward to the next step, which is getting back to the city. Unfortunately, that's not what I look forward to, but the next step is building out the truck and camper. So if you look at one of my previously posted videos, I just purchased a new 2019 Dodge 1500 4x4 Rebel, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to outfit it with a hard-sided truck camper, slide-in bed camper. It's made by Palomino. It's called the HS650. So it's rather small. It does not have a toilet, does not have a wet shower on the inside. It's got a sink, a 2-burner stove, a bed, a small refrigerator, a small furnace, and a tankless water heater, which is nice. One propane tank for the 2-burner stove and the water heater, with an outdoor shower, which I intend to rig up a system much like the Australians use to have a little bit of a privacy curtain. So in the next few weeks, keep on the lookout for that setup. I will be posting videos on it and continuing to showcase the lifestyle of what it is to downsize, live in the city in a camper, and then use it for weekend adventures. Luckily, living in Southern California for the wintertime, I've got lots of options along the coast, whether I go south or north, and I really look forward to it. So please do follow, stay tuned. I think you'll be happy to see the places that I take it to and the things that I do with it. The coals are now ready. Let's throw that grill on and start barbecuing. Veggie bundle, steak. Got a nice sizzle to it. That means there's enough heat. The outside temperature is dropping. I think I'm gonna have to go get another jacket. It's cold here. I mean, like, it's cold and wet. And it's been hot for the entire summer, so my body's not used to it yet. It's been in the 80s and 90s most days, really dry, and now we have this rainstorm that's been sitting over the top of us for 2 days. So it's really damp and moist and significantly cooler, down in the 50s it feels like right now, maybe even less. Got a really nice sizzle to it. It smells terrific. We're just gonna let that piece of meat do its thing for a while, as well as the veggies. That goodness coming out of the top there, all that smoke, it's exactly what you're looking for, especially with this mesquite charcoal. Just provides the perfect amount of heat and smoke. It's coming along really well. Let's give the bottom side a check. See how it's got some really nice caramelization from that dry rub. Give it a flip, put it on a nice hot part of the grill. Oh, that's looking good. Really, really nice caramelization on both sides. Good sizzle to it. It's feeling it about medium. Well here in the fat parts, medium. And let's try a vegetable out. Carrot's a good litmus test. Veggies are done. So I'll take those off. Slide this right. That. And we'll let that steak burn just a little bit longer. Steak and veggies. Looks perfect. Let's cut into it and see what it looks like. I think it looks perfect. I'm gonna eat this and then get back to you guys. I had to gloat a little bit. This whole setup is marvelous. Steak, done perfect. Vegetables, still crispy. It's about 35 or 45 minutes on the grill there. Everything came out just right. Hey, thanks for watching. I really enjoyed cooking outdoors tonight with you, and I really hope that you enjoyed learning something and seeing my beautiful backyard. Have a good night.